It's Sunday morning, just about 7 o'clock. We're going to go ahead and get started. I cannot believe we've been doing this for 7 weeks. Today is week 8. And I tell you, it has been a pleasure and a joy to wake up on Sunday mornings and be able to talk to all of you. And then at the end of our presentation to go back and look at your comments and answer your questions. And some of you have emailed me with your products that you have made. Linda Mims Bartholomew has done it, and Ryan Smith posted his, and that lets me know that I'm really making a difference and you all are able to practice this. Because one of the biggest things about eating plant-based is that people think it's hard, and it's really not that hard to do. So, if you haven't been here before, this is your first time, I'm Donna Green Goodman. I am a daughter, a sister, a wife, a mother. I'm a graduate of Oakwood University, the only vegetarian HBCU in the country, and it has been that way for as long as I remember. My parents actually brought me to Oakwood when I was 10 years old, 1969, and we promote vegetarianism because we believe that it's healthier and it helps to keep our body temples the way that God wants them to be. I'm also an author of 3 books. Something to Shout About, Cooking Up Good Health and Still Cooking Up Good Health. And for those of you who have purchased the ebook, Still Cooking Up Good Health, that's where we're cooking these recipes from. And if you've purchased it, you actually get an extra email from me with other tips and links and other recipes that are not necessarily in the book. For the last, well, for all of my life, I'll be 62 in about 6 months, I have been vegetarian. But in 1996, I was diagnosed with invasive, aggressive metastatic breast cancer and decided to go plant-based. And those of you who know my story know that along with other lifestyle changes, improved my health. And starting next Friday, I will enter year 25 of being free of breast cancer. Part of the reason that I do this is because I believe in it. And I want other people to know that it's really not hard to do. So I'm glad you're here, whether you're with me on Facebook or Instagram. If you got friends who think that they could benefit from this, just text them or something. They don't have to get up. They can roll over, look at it, and then go and cook with me later if that's what they want to do. What we're making today is literally something cool for us to eat. Because, y'all, I don't know, COVID-19 just kind of wiped me out. And I was at the grocery store the other day buying peaches, because you know the squirrels ate all of ours, and I asked the farmer's market people, is this like the first batch? He said, no, it's like batch 8 or 9. And I'm thinking, okay, where did the time go? And then my husband is bringing stuff in the garden, and we got squash the other day that's like this big. And I think COVID-19 and our quarantining and all the changes has really impacted our sense of time. And here we are, just celebrated Juneteenth, and now we're getting ready to go to the 4th of July, and it's just happening so fast. So what I want to do today was show you some things that you could make at home quickly that are not really hard to do, and you can use your appliances to put them in, and I'll talk about those as I use them. I have already crumbled up my graham cracker crumbs for this frozen pie that we're going to make, and those of you who have the book got the email for this recipe. And last year, my sissy Garnett and I played with this in our clinic, and the patients absolutely loved it. My husband couldn't stop eating it. And you can make this, or you can put it in individual cupcake cups in a cupcake pan, or you can put it in one of these cheesecake kind of pans. You can put it in, I remember when I was growing up for Sabbath special dinners, my mother would make pies like this, and she would put them in a Pyrex dish with the crust at the bottom so that you could cut them in squares. However you want to do it, it's real easy to do. The other thing is, depending on what you enjoy, the liquid that you put in here can be of water or oil or both of them, and I have decided to use a combination of the two. And literally, all I'm going to do now, I have put some vanilla flavoring in here, and I think I'm going to add a little cinnamon to the crust, and then I'm going to add this liquid, and if it's not enough liquid, I'll add a little more because I have definitely used more than like 8 or 10 graham crackers. The thing that I like about this sort of thing is that you can use whatever kind of crust you want. If there's another cookie that you like, you can crumble that up. if you want to use something like coconut, when I make this with mango, I make a coconut crust. You can also take fresh nuts, walnuts, pecans, macadamias, grind them up, either fine like this, or you can make them so that they're just almost dicey, so that you get the texture on your tongue, and you can use those as well. And what I like to do is vary that. When I make banana pudding, instead of using graham crackers, I will use ginger snaps. If you like lemon cookies, you can do that. The filling that you want to put in here is all up to you. And so that's your call. Then you get it where you can kind of pull it together like that so that it's going to make a really good crust. And then you decide which of these pans that you want to put it in. I think I'm going to use my bigger pan, and I'm going to take this to the office tomorrow so that our patients can get it. And what I like to do, for some reason, I don't know, maybe because when I was a child, we lived in Jersey, and my parents used to take us to New York often, and we would go into Jewish communities and get that New York style cheesecake and go to some other Jewish restaurants that have some really good dishes. And I have always liked to have a crust that goes up the side of the pan rather than just on the very bottom of the pan. So I will add extra crumbs to make sure that it goes up the side, and then it makes a crust. And those of you who saw my post on yesterday for this session saw the picture of the pie that I'm making, and you can see how the crust went up the side. I'm using graham crackers, and just a tip for you, these are the only ones I could find this week, and this is the Kroger brand, the honey graham crackers. These are organic. What I usually get is by another company, and then in addition to being organic, they are also whole wheat, and I prefer those. This is not whole wheat, and it's all I can find, so it's what I use. And again, you can use whatever you want. Now, if you were going to make a cheesecake out of this, you could bake the crust for a few minutes, but I'm trying not to make this real heavy for anybody, so we're going to do it just like this. And then we're going to put all of our other ingredients in the blender. Like I said, Garnie and I came up with this recipe last year, and our patients absolutely loved it. We had a pint, one of those little double containers of strawberries. And so I'm using strawberries because they're in season. So you can make this raspberry, blackberry, blueberry, whatever you want, depending on the fruit that you enjoy. And then I believe the recipe calls for some non-dairy cream cheese. And I usually use Tofutti brand, but I've been playing with this other brand, Just Like Cream Cheese, which is by Violife. And their cream cheese actually looks a lot more like traditional cream cheese to me. If you like another brand, Kroger is creating a bunch of really, really good stuff. And a lot of these brands are using soy or coconut, but we noticed that at Kroger, some of their stuff, they're using lima beans as the basis for the dairy substitute. And so you can decide which one it is that you want to use, and you just dump this in. And that's the other thing that I try to do is make it easy. Ain't gonna take a bunch of time. And this one I think is a really great recipe to do on a hot day. But if you've got company coming over and want to whip up something that's really quick and delicious, this is another one that you can do for that. Okay? Then, when I was a home economist, I used to judge 4-H cooking things at Rock Eagle in Georgia. And one of the things that they often use in a lot of their recipes and that Southerners use in recipes is condensed milk. Well, if you've gone plant-based, it might be a little more challenging to find that, unless, like my friend Glenda, you make your own stuff. And you can do it if you want to. But I have found 2 brands of plant-based condensed milk. One is by Nature's Charm, and I usually find this one in health food stores. And it's made out of coconut milk. It's dairy and soy free. And then I have found this one in Walmart, and this is the one that I'm going to use today. And this is by Andre Prost, I think is the name. And it's actually a Mexican brand. And I think one of the things that is surprising to me, the more that I do this sort of thing, is I discover that a lot of other cultures are using a lot of things and have been using them for years that may be dairy-free or low in dairy that are really delicious, and they're a lot less expensive. So this is a condensed milk, which of course you know is sweetened, so I'm not going to have to add any sugar to this recipe. And we're just going to pour this in here. is all, y'all. This is all it is. Now, the other company that I showed you, they also make an evaporated milk. So if there's a recipe that you missed because you're no longer eating dairy and you want to try it again, this is how to do that. You can just buy the condensed or the evaporated milk. And of course, like if you're like my girl Glenda and you just want to create it on your own, you can also do that. This is all that goes in here, y'all. And so you are literally making sure that you're using fresh fruit, and the sweetness, if it's in season, of course, is going to be higher. I'm going to put this on my Vitamix, and we're going to blend this up as best we can. See what happens here. Turn it on. Okay, there we go. And that's blended really quickly and really well. Now, if you are looking for a blender, I think Vitamix is probably one of the best ones you can buy. Literally, y'all. My mom had one when I was growing up, and she had the old silver one. My girlfriend Jackie has one like that. And while she was alive, she's like, Donna, you need to stop buying those other blenders and just get you a Vitamix. And I'm like, Mom, I'm not spending all that money for a machine like that. And then after she passed away, it's been since 2006, so 14 years now. She gave me, I got her Vitamix, and we use it every day. And I was amazed that she was right, because I had probably blown out about 5 regular blenders. It's more expensive, but I have had hers for 14 years since her death, and she had it for a number of years before that. In addition, because of the work that I do, I have invested in a couple other ones. And the best way to find the best price is to go to the website for Vitamix and look for their reconditioned ones. And they're less expensive. And then if you get on their mailing list every once in a while, they'll have a sale. And you might pay $250, $300 for it. But it's worth every penny. We haven't had any trouble out of any of the ones that we wanted. Okay, once I got this all mixed up, I thought, what else can I add to this to make it light and fluffy? And so, many of you are familiar also with the vegan Cool Whip, which is by So Delicious, called Cocoa Whip. And I thought that would be something nice to add to this. And so, that's what we're adding. About half a container of the Cocoa Whip. And we're going to put that in here. And if you see this on sale, just buy a bunch of them, put them in the freezer. It freezes well. And we're going to add some to this. And of course, if you literally have some of the garbanzo bean juice, you can also use that as well. And so you mix that in, and that's going to lighten it up texture-wise, and it's going to add some good flavor to it. And then after you mix that in, y'all, that's it. That's it. That's all. You're going to pour it into your crust. And then you're going to put this in the freezer and let it freeze. Once it has frozen and you're ready to serve it, take it out a few minutes before it's time to serve it. And then you can garnish it with fresh strawberries and whipped cream or whatever else you want to put on there and slice it, and then you're able to serve it. So that's quickly that. And when we're done, I'm going to put that in the freezer. And I'm going to fight with my husband because he's going to think he can have some, but I'm going to take it to the office tomorrow for our patients. Then the next thing we're going to make is this ice cream. And if you have the cookbook, the entire recipe is in there, the basic one. And what I decided to do after my diagnosis was I came back home and I cleaned out my refrigerator because I was convicted of the value of a plant-based diet on my life. And I didn't want to have anything in the refrigerator that would tempt me to eat stuff that I no longer wanted to eat. And so literally, back in the day, 25 years ago, I was buying Breyers ice cream whenever it was on sale, and I would get 2, 3 half gallons, and we have them in the freezer, and the different flavors. And then literally, the night before I got my diagnosis, I went to Baskin Robbins, and I just pigged out on some ice cream. And I'm like, okay, I can't do this anymore. And thankfully, my husband and my son were on board with me. And so what I wanted to do was figure out a way that I could make some other delicious options for them. And so I just started looking at ice cream recipes. And when you look at ice cream recipes, if you're born in the South or lived in the South, a lot of times their recipes have eggs in them and cream. And so I tried to figure out what in the world can I substitute for all of that. And so I was using soy milk back then and for the milk, and I used a cream cheese for the fat. So we're going to use another container of cream cheese. And I was using tofu for the eggs. And then I put in whatever flavors I wanted to put in, and that was the ice cream. And so today what I'm going to do is use this Khalifa milk, which is a toasted coconut almond milk that my niece Shantae introduced me to, and it's so good, y'all. I'm not really a big milk drinker, but I would drink this by the cup, and I like to have it with this cereal that my girlfriend Linda introduced me to that I can't find at Costco anymore. I don't know what they did with it. So what we're going to do is put 2 cups of milk in here, literally. This is as hard as it is, y'all. Then we're going to put a container of the tofu in there. Then we're going to put a container of cream cheese in there. And again, whichever one you're used to eating is the one that you use, because your taste buds are used to the flavor and the texture that it gives. And then I'm going to add a sweetener. And I'm going to use the evaporated cane juice sugar. But because I know that the challenge with making something sweet is how much sugar is in there and the impact that sugar can actually have on the body. If you don't want to use sugar for that reason, then you can always use the monk fruit, which is really good. You can use honey or maple syrup. And one of the things that I like to recommend to other patients is to use the evaporated juice, which is really getting hard to find now. I don't know what's going on, but people aren't, it's just not as available as much anymore. But you can use a can of that. It's going to change the texture, but it'll be okay. So now I'm going to add my sweetener to it. And then I'm going to put some vanilla in here. And I'm going to make this into peach ice cream. And so I'm going to put fresh peaches in there because peaches are in season. Literally, this is all I'm going to do. I've already washed off some of these peaches. My husband said that these are Freestone, and they are. So all I'm going to do now is just cut them up and put them in here. You could put strawberries, mango. I had one student, Miss Goodman, you haven't made anything for me. Could you make me some mango ice cream? So I made mango ice cream. Whatever flavors that you enjoy are the ones that you use to add to the ice cream recipe, the basic one, if you want to do more than vanilla. And usually I add about 2 or 3 cups of the fruit. So today I'm going to put in about 3 or 4 of these peaches. And baby, it's going to be so good. And what I wanted to do when I came up with this one last year, I was quite interested in it tasting kind of like peach cobbler. So what I'm going to do is add a couple other ingredients that you would normally put in peach cobbler. And that's going to give it that cobblery taste. Okay, so that's 2 peaches. I think I'll put 1 more because these are pretty good size. If you live in Huntsville, make sure that you get to Ayers Farmers Market. This is where I got these peaches, and they're amazing. And over the next few weeks, they're going to have bigger ones and sweeter ones, and they're all going to be Freestone. Okay, when you make peach pie or peach cobbler, lemon juice is the little secret ingredient that goes in there to give it that twang, I guess you call it. And it's interesting because my grandmother died before I was 10 years old. So some of the recipes that she had and my great-grandmother on my dad's side, I never got a chance to get because they died before I became interested in cooking. But as I read Southern recipes, I'm able to find ingredients, and when I use those ingredients, it tastes just like my grandmama's stuff. So I'm going to put a little lemon juice in here, just a little bit. And then I'm going to put some cinnamon in there. And of course, if you wanted to use a different milk or creamer, you could do that. I literally have used the Ripple half and half to make the ice cream with, and it was delicious. I haven't been able to find the vanilla anymore, but if you can, that's an option for you too. If you are Caribbean and like coconut milk, you can use coconut milk in place of all of this. Then I'm going to put this in the blender and blend it. Yeah, y'all, it's that pretty orange color. This is so awesome. Now, what I also decided years ago was I didn't want to make ice cream using a machine where I had to use ice and all that sort of stuff. So I found this amazing machine, Treat Yourself to One. This one is by Cuisinart, but there's some other ones by Krups, and my mother and I, between the two of us, probably had about 4 or 5 of them. And when you get one of these, it has a canister in it that is full of liquid inside here, and you put the whole canister in the freezer. So when it's time to make the ice cream, all you have to do is put the canister in the machine and put the top on there and turn it on. Actually, you put the blade in, and then you put the top on.
This recipe's in the book.
This recipe's in the book. The basic ice cream is in the book, yes.
Where'd you get the peaches?
I got the peaches at Ayers Farmers Market on Cook Street. And they're open, I think, Tuesday or Wednesday through Saturday from like 8 to 4. And the peaches, God, oh, they are so delicious. So this is the machine, and we're going to plug this in over here, and I'm going to pour it into it and turn it on. And in about 25 minutes, we're going to have some amazing ice cream. Now, the thing is, when you use this machine, if you want to, what you can literally do is as the ice cream starts to thicken up, if you want to put bits of pieces of peaches or nuts in there, you can do that as well. And the other day, I was in Tuesday morning, and I came across another ice cream machine by the same company, and literally, it's a dual ice cream. And my husband doesn't know it, but I'm going to use that to make he and I some ice cream because it's just the two of us now, and you can put one flavor in one flavor in the other. So this is it. Let me come up there so you can see it. That's what it looks like. And I'm literally just going to pour this in to the machine now and watch what happens. Magic, magic, magic. Okay, that's it. That's all. Real simple and easy. Now, for the last 7 weeks, we have talked about ways that you can improve your immune system in the days of COVID-19. And we've gone through going to bed, getting your exercise, making sure that you're not stressed, eating a lot of plant foods, using water, letting stuff go, taking deep breaths, especially in this time that we're in. And the last thing that I'm recommending is that you turn it over to Jesus. One of the biggest challenges, I was talking to somebody earlier this week about my journey with breast cancer because they're facing a health challenge and they're not quite sure what to do about it. And I told them when I was diagnosed, I literally had to make some lifestyle changes. And those lifestyle changes meant that some other things were going to come from that. One of which was I decided I couldn't keep working the way that I was working, but I didn't know how I was going to make it after I quit my job. And for the last 25 years, there have been some days where we had to be on our knees, prostrate, but the Lord has just blessed. And I'm encouraging you over the next few weeks to put all your stuff in the hands of Jesus. And then the other thing I want to say is, some of you may have questions about the use of soy, especially in our recovery from diseases like cancer and from other things, because of all you've heard. And when I was teaching at Oakwood, I would tell my students, don't just pay attention to the headline. And I see that Kimba Esmond is online, and I used to work with her husband Dwayne, and I still write for Message Magazine. And a lot of times a headline will make you think more than what's actually going on in the body of the article. And one of the questions that a lot of people have is it okay to do soy? And my doctor said that I couldn't do it because I have estrogen positive cancer. Well, I was diagnosed with invasive aggressive metastatic that was also estrogen positive. And at the time I learned the absolute value of plant foods. And it's easier for me to accept what a scientist says as I run it through the Word of God. And in the Word of God, there is no restriction on any food that you can eat. Now, I've heard about other folk who come up that stuff is man-made and all that sort of stuff. They didn't make it out of nothing. They put something together to make it. And soy seems to get a really bad rap because it contains phytoestrogen. So what I want you to do is Google phytoestrogen-rich foods. And when you find that list, what I have discovered is that flaxseed has way more phytoestrogens in it than soy does. But flaxseed is recommended to everybody to eat because of the benefit of the phytoestrogen. And the estrogens that are in our food are a weaker version that our body needs to build what we have. And if you are a cancer patient, you're probably a little worried about whether you can use it or not. I spoke with my friend Dr. Milton Mills yesterday, who many of you know is on the movie What the Health and is a plant-based physician and is doing a lot in the community, especially for people of color. And I wanted to read exactly what he said because this makes sense. The phytoestrogens that we eat in food, not just soy, but in flaxseed and phytoestrogens are scattered throughout all the plant foods that we eat, all of them. So to cut out soy because it has phytoestrogens in it, you would need to stop eating plant foods because God has placed these phytoestrogens in there. But the science behind the headline is that the phytoestrogens in soy bind to and block the estrogen receptor in the breast, but they don't activate it. So actually it's protective to the body against cancer. That means when it binds there, the total estrogenic activity in the body is reduced, which lowers the risk of breast cancer. The second thing is, phytoestrogens also cause the liver to increase the amount of sex hormone binding globulin that it manufactures. And that's a protein which binds to the actual estrogen that we are fighting, ladies. And again, lowers the total estrogenic activity in the body. So whether you are eating soy products or flaxseed in your smoothie or red beans or black beans or other foods, God has placed that in there to be protective for us. And so don't get sunk by the headline. Do the research, read the information, and in addition to this estrogen benefit, there's also a lot of fiber in there. And when I was training in nutrition and health education, soybeans were the beans that we use to compare to the consumption of meat or animal products. And it exceeded anything that meat could do for us and provided a perfect protein, meaning all the amino acids were included in there. And so I just wanted to share that with you. I also want you to talk to God because my journey with breast cancer has been one that was documented by the physicians, and I was able to get the same or better outcomes with my markers by embracing a plant-based diet and using all the foods, including soy and flaxseed, to help my body to recover. And the beauty of it is it works for everything. It works for everything. Not just the diet, but the diet and the exercise and the sleep and the stress management and the plant-based and going to bed at night helps the hormones to be regulated, and they're not regulated if indeed you're up through the night. And so I want to encourage you to make these choices based on fact and faith. And if it wasn't for my faith, I just don't know how I would do this. The Bible says that above all things, I wish that you were prosper and be in good health. And as we're watching all this crazy going on in America from a black person's perspective, I look at the story of the children of Israel who were enslaved for 400 years. And on the day that God said they were supposed to come out of slavery, they came out. And as they come out and they get to the river, and Pharaoh's behind them, and the sea is before them, and the mountains on either side, they start to panic. And God opens up that water for them, and he takes them through to the other side, and he literally swallows up the people who were trying to hurt him, or hurt the children of Israel. And so once they got to the other side, then they started having a praise party. Y'all know how we pray for somebody and the Lord answers the way that we were hoping, or he doesn't answer and we understand that his answer is the best answer, then everybody goes to shouting and screaming and hollering. That's what happened. Miriam led the people in a praise party. And the Lord said to her and the children of Israel, if you hearken to the voice of the Lord your God, do what is right in his sight, give ear to his commandments, and keep his statutes, he won't put any of these diseases on you that he's put on the Egyptians, because he's the Lord who heals you. And when I was working at Morehouse School of Medicine, I literally was in a conference where they showed a picture of a papyrus that showed all the diseases that the Egyptians had, and those diseases are the same ones that we're dying from today. Heart disease, diabetes, cancer, arthritis, MS, you name it, they saw those diseases as causes of death in the body when they did the post-mortem. And so, stand on the promises of God. Stand on the promises of God, who is the creator and the healer. And if a doctor that you're talking to thinks that it's not good for you to exercise or eat plants, find another doctor. That's all. Find another doctor. Go watch the movie What the Hell, Game Changers, Forks Over Knives, any of those sorts of things. Go to our website, and there's a page on there that has a lot of articles about the value of lifestyle in this. And we're watching people get off medications. We have a patient now who played around with his diet for a while, but decided that now he wants to be on a totally plant-based diet. When he's talking to the people where he goes to get his dialysis, and they're literally backing him up off of dialysis, because as he's moving more towards plants, the kidneys are healing themselves. The protein that is in animal products is too large for the kidney to filter, and that's what causes the problem with the kidney. And so you end up on dialysis, but all you have to do is make the changes and go in the opposite direction. And so that's what I'm challenging you to do. Ask God, then obey God, and then praise God, and then go and tell somebody else. Y'all got that? It ain't hard to do. I am so happy for the time we've been able to spend together over these last few weeks. It's about 7:32. I don't want to keep y'all all day. I'm Donnie Green Goodman. I am the daughter of Donald and Shirley Green, the sister of Stephen Green, the wife of Edward Titus Goodman III, and the mother of Edward Titus Goodman IV, better known as Ivy. I'm a friend, an educator, a plant-based cook, author of 3 books, and a breast cancer survivor. Year 25 starts to load on next Thursday, July 3rd, so you know it's going to be a praise party over here. I thank you so much for the time that you spend with me. We're going to take a break next week because some people in America will be celebrating July 4th. We've already had our party here at Ponderosa. And I want you to keep an eye on my page, and I'll let you know what we'll be doing once we get on the other side of the 4th of July. If you've made the ice cream or you've made the frozen pies, take some pictures of it. Let me know about it. If you want to get in on this information, go to our website, Shop for Better Health page. You can order all 3 of the books, Something to Shout About, which is my testimony, tips on healthy living, and about 100 recipes. The second book, Cooking Up Good Health, goes with the cooking show, Cooking Up Good Health. And you can see those episodes on our YouTube page, Lifestyle Therapeutics. And then the third book, which is still Cooking Up Good Health, is the ebook. And you can order that, download it, and have all these tips right in front of you. I want you to tell somebody else about what we've been talking about, because now that you know, you're responsible for sharing it. And I hope that you have an amazing week and enjoy some cool treats on these hot summer days. Thanks for being here, guys. Have a great week. See you later. Bye.